follow the Cherry Grove Road, follow the Cherry Grove Road, follow, 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 follow the Cherry Grove Road.
I don't know when it started, but it was part of little quaint Cherry Grove. Instead of having numbers, which we have now, and they're being used more heavily now than ever in the past, one would name a house. And there might be an inside joke, like bottoms up, or a double entendre. Bottoms up was the house that I am in now, and that was on the one hand for drinking, this is bottoms up, or it could be a sexual innuendo that the bottoms lived upstairs on the top floor. There were also some cutesy names. There was a book, and I think later a movie, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knees, talking about Western expansion and Indian War. But we also have a meat rack out here, and some people have been known to visit there. So one house name was Wounded Knees. Another house that was kind of cute was on the bay, and the owner was known for being a little, let's say, active, and it was called Twin Peaks, but it was spelled P-I-Q-U-E-S. Another one that I can remember is No Boys in the Attic. There were some lesbians here that wanted it known that it was a woman's house. There are also some romantic names like Villa Vista, Cielo e Mar, that would evoke kind of like almost a romantic, lovely feeling. Then there were chaps that I knew that just bought a house, and they happened to see and there were two of them, and they happened to see two ducks in the bay going by. Well, they named their house Two Ducks. Then there was one other house that was the last house in Cherry Grove, the last house westward, and it was called Finisterre, translated the end of the earth. So that was the last house. Another one that I can think of, it was down and there was a wind in the area, and it was also on the west end of town, and it was called Passing Wind. One other house that I can remember was damaged heavily in the Hurricane Gloria, and it was called Cloud 9, and there was a unit underneath, and its name was Cloud 8.5. There were two houses that were out here that were owned by Joe Shallow, who owned the Monster. He used these houses for employee housing, and one was called Exit 15, and I think the other was Exit 17. And they got their names from cruisy rest areas on one of the highways. Another house that had a kind of a cutesy name, there was a play on words. It was called Tool Shed, but tool was spelled T-U-L-L-E. One of the other houses, I'd forgotten what name it had originally, but it was heavily damaged during Hurricane Gloria, which came to Cherry Grove in 1985 at the end of the season in September. And the house was very badly damaged, so it was named, after the storm, it was named Gone with the Wind. One of the things, this is probably a flashback to the archives, Roland McHaley is working on a project here to remember all those Cherry Grove residents that are no longer with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now in the beautiful backyard palatial gardens of Que Sera Sera. These are second only to the Hanging Gardens of Babylon.
And B, all the house names, and that's one of his projects, to not only notate present house names but previous ones as well. And one of the things that we find is the cutesy names like Tool Shed or Twin Peaks are kind of fading out toward Villa Vista's, and although Villa Vista's house is probably older, but the more glamorous names are suddenly coming in.
It's losing its tongue-in-cheek.
Losing its tongue-in-cheek. They're not as popular now as they were in previous years.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think there's a term that we have not used yet today, and that's called camp. And camp is very difficult to pinpoint and describe exactly. But I think part of the gay mystique, especially the gay people and lesbians that were here originally, camp was a large part of their life. And so it was not only dressing outrageously, it was not only having outrageous theme parties, but it was naming their house camp.
Follow the Cherry Grove Road, follow the Cherry Grove Road, follow, 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 follow the Cherry Grove Road, follow the rainbow right to the end, follow the fellow who says he's your friend, follow, 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 follow the Cherry Grove Road. We're off to Fire Island, a wonderful place called the Grove.